Kathryn has gone MIA again, and we are headed to a girls' trip. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, got a girls' trip. Got a girls' trip.
Got a girls' trip. You gotta leave. You gotta leave.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, AfterBuzzers. Welcome. Southern Charm After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. We are super thrilled to be here with you all today chatting about our favorite show. Before we get started, I'd love to introduce my lovely co-host, starting with Matt.
Oh, hi, everybody. I was throwing my sweater because it's hot in here because we've got tea on the AfterBuzz News today. I'm Matt Moore. I'm excited to be here.
And I'm Cristal McLaughlin. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Susan Pinkney, very happy to be here.
Yes. Before we get started, we do have a news section. We have very juicy news to share with you that Matt will be sharing later on. We also have our not so charming segment, and we have Cristal sharing that with us later today. And Suzy will be taking over another special segment that we have. All right, so let's get started, you guys. Overall thoughts on tonight's episode. What did you think, Suzy?
Oh, because
I saw you laughing a lot.
I was having a good time. I felt like I was on vacation with them. I loved it.
That's what I felt like when I was watching you watch it.
Yeah. You put your boots on. You're like, I'm ready. Yeah.
One of those kind of damp, not warm days, and you're just kind of there with your girls, and it's not turning out exactly the way you want it to, but you're finding those moments to have fun.
That's right. That's right.
What about you, Cristal? What did you think?
Overall, I thought it was a good episode. It totally reminded me of like when I go on a girls' trip with my girlfriends, like you said.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some kind of drama. It like starts to build up. We'll get into that later, but yeah, it was like, ooh, this is good. Finally, at the end, it was like getting somewhere.
Oh.
No, I liked it. I thought it was a great. I didn't think it was like, ooh, wow, shocking episode. It wasn't like drama filled because the undercurrent is they all love each other that were on this trip. So it wasn't like Trashy showed up at the end. It was like, hey! So, but I still liked it.
But we do know that Trashley does end up showing up at trip, right? But it's not a girl's trip for sure.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that wine was involved, and then Cameran with her bottle, her rosé girl, get it together, rosé. Yeah.
You
live in LA, you know all about rosé.
I know, but I mispronounced stuff too, so I can't fault you, Cameran.
Same. Guilty.
Yeah.
That's charged.
Cute.
We also have our live chat up, so if you guys want to chime in and join the conversation, let us know your thoughts as we're chatting about tonight's episode. So we started off a little bit talking about Austen and his still relationship with Madison, and then we find out some secrets later on about what's shared. So let's start off and talk about this whole situation that Craig says Madison is a man-eater. Do we agree that Madison is a man-eater? Do we even have enough information to claim that she's a man-eater?
I mean, I think the more pertinent information is that Craig watches Frozen to be happy. I mean, sorry.
Let it go.
I'm just like, is Craig coming out this season? I don't know what's happening. There's a blue nail. I don't know. No, but I don't know if we know yet that she's a man eater. I don't know if she's. I mean, maybe. She definitely likes the men's.
Well, here's the thing. We're basing this off of like one interaction with one person on the show who cheated on her with not just one woman but two. So really, is she a man eater or is she getting revenge?
Right?
That's true.
I like Craig and Austin's relationships. Like, I know they were discussing Madison, and that time they had together, though, like when they were hungover, and he brought him a burrito, and then he had a beer, hair of the dog. So I just loved how they were able to kind of just throw themselves, almost meld into the cushions of the chairs and like just have a conversation.
That's right.
Yeah, that was really sweet for both of them. I think what Craig wants is just to have that buddy that he can relate
Yeah.
to, knowing how he went through that whole breakup with Naomi. And,
And since Shep is always putting him down, he just wants somebody to love
he
him.
just wants to be loved and watch Frozen together, you know, and drink beer and eat burritos.
I don't think he's asking for too much, you know?
I think we just want them to
Where's your
cuddle.
pillows at? Show me a couple pillows.
Yeah, pillows down, they start cuddling. Can't you see Austen just kind of petting Craig's head while they watch Do You Want to Build a Snowman? I think that definitely, Austen did admit, though, that he still has feelings he has feelings for Madison, so I think that's going to complicate things.
I was going to say, is that what you heard? Because I didn't hear that. I heard it's embarrassing when you tell your friends how much you love someone or you're into them, and then they do this to you. I feel like it's a pride thing. If he was really into her, then I don't think the whole threesome thing would have happened, and I think there's a pride thing.
I think he's deep into wanting that kind of like chaos in his life. And
Yeah, he's deep into 3 girls, That's why he had that threesome.
We all saw a video of that, so
Bless
we know
his
it's
heart.
true.
They're going to show that clip every damn episode. Madison!
Take it away.
Madison!
Yes.
And he's just adjusting his,
I can't deal with that whole situation.
Ooh, good. Sorry.
You are just taking it away over there. So at the same time, there's a conversation, right, with Chelsea and Shep. And Chelsea starts telling Shep, I just don't understand why Austen is talking smack about me and our relationship when we had one, yet Madison has a text message. It's like she has proof that this has actually happened. So this is actually benefiting Chelsea because who's the person who's still talking about her?
Right.
Yeah. Is this the first time we heard this too?
Yes.
Okay. I was like watching the thing. Did I hear this before?
I just feel like Madison is a girl's girl. At the end of the day, I did say last episode that I felt like she was kind of dumb for staying with him, but at the end of the day, maybe she's sabotaging this whole thing on purpose and getting back at him and living her best life. So I'm all for it.
I definitely think she's living her best life. Think about it, though. She was on the Fringe. We never saw her. She was Patricia's hairdresser.
Right.
She was always there, of course. She had to always have been there. But then now all of a sudden she's a part of the cast. Even if it's just friend of, she's part of the cast. And
She's being talked about.
Yeah, and so...
Yeah.
She's probably the smartest one on the show.
Right.
Madison claims that Austen said that Chelsea lives a fake life on IG. In addition to everything else.
Look, Instagram is smoke and mirrors. So y'all, if y'all are listening to this or watching this and even looking at us we're not putting our worst selves on Instagram. People don't do that.
I beg to differ. I'm the only one posting me doing laundry on a Saturday night on Instagram.
But you still had good lighting when you did it. I'm going to call you on that. You still were lit good. Okay? But I just think that is kind of a vapid response to Chelsea, who seems so authentic on this show, when in actuality, Chelsea, I think Chelsea brought it down, and that she said she's never brought up an ex to another. And that's the thing, I would never bring another ex up to somebody I was dating out of pride. If you're bringing that person up, it probably means you still have feelings for them.
Mm-hmm. That's why he's still talking about her.
Yeah.
Because, obviously she really hurt him where it hurt. I mean, think about what happened last season. She talked about him being not really good, having deep pockets, and she's having to shelve out money for dinner and whatnot. So, it really hurt his ego if you think about it. Everybody's hearing this about him. And he's from the South. They're supposed to have Southern hospitality, the men there. So, I'm sure they gave him a lot of... on that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and probably Madison. I wonder the conversation between Madison and Chelsea and how that would take place, that comparison. How would he treat you, or what would happen? That would be really interesting.
To be a fly on the wall.
To be a fly on that wall.
It's true. I love though too how she just broke it down, talking about Shep's response to Madison, how Chelsea just stopped that cold, hey, you give what you get.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
She said, don't cheat on the person that you're with. That's rule number 1 that you're not supposed to do.
Right. And Shep over here, it's been 4 months.
Yeah.
It's been 4 months. I was like, are you retarded or something? Like, come on, don't be
4
dumb.
months. Yeah.
Let's use that word. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, let's not use that word.
That's not a good word.
Don't come for us in the
Don't
comments,
come for
y'all.
me,
She
please.
apologized
I apologize.
already.
That's a bad word to use.
That's going to be part of our news a little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody said a word last week that got some people riled, so we're going to talk about that.
Well,
Yeah.
on the contrary, Cristal does have some very important news to share
I
with you
have
all.
some very important news to share. Because we are the ESPN of TV Talk and we are here on YouTube, we would love it if you'd give us a thumbs up. Not only that, but we are on Spotify and on iTunes. If you could give us 5 stars, we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So I really do appreciate it when you comment and also share our links. And I don't know, just like, repost on Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is that you can, because we wouldn't be able to do this for you guys without your help. So thank you so much for tuning in. And also, Matt wants to go ahead and let you know a little bit more about
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some shout outs. So subscribe, y'all. Y'all know I never know where to point. I gotta look this up, but we got some juicy tea regarding the whole Madison Gentry debacle. And I want to thank our listener. Hold on, it's gonna come up. But she sent me Madison's stories, and it's Lex Loudermilk. So Lex, I don't know your real. It doesn't say. I don't think on Instagram. So, but y'all follow Lex Loudermilk.
It's low.
Or Lex LEXLOWDERMILK. Follow her on Instagram, y'all, because she's got as she told me, piping hot tea. Yes. So basically, Madison's story is basically Madison was saying that her friend that saw, basically she reached out, not really kind of asking on Madison's behalf, and Madison didn't really know what was going on. She said her client was scrolling through the pictures, and Madison just said, oh yeah, he's cute, and her friend reached out, which I don't know if it's really true, since we have the receipts from Gentry and Danny.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thanks Lex for that.
Yes, and we also have, if you're tuning in on our iTunes, we have a special shout out for Cake Lady 84. Awesome show. Love the chats from all members. Love from Texas. Thank you so much.
Oh, have some queso for me, girl.
Yeah, and we have Danielle Renee 210 say, love this podcast and how everyone has a role and keeps the podcast moving along.
Yes.
Susan is a great addition to
Isn't
this
she?
already great cast. Love Southern Charm and love their podcasts, as I feel like we are fans in kind. Keep up the great work. So we appreciate
Our
it.
fans in kind, sugar.
You've gotten a lot of great comments, so thank you so much for joining us.
So appreciative.
Do we have anybody
Thank
in
you.
our live chat?
Absolutely. We have a couple newcomers, actually. We have Lily Sullivan and Trisha. They're both first timers. We also have Ashley Flowers, who made a funny comment. She said she did not like how Kat was ganged up on. I didn't either. And she's obviously doing great, and they're hating on her. So I like your comments, Ashley. And Lily is blushing now.
Oh, made you blush. You make
made
us
you
blush.
blush.
And I also have one more shout out, and this is from Eliza. She's also somebody who writes me all the time on Instagram. She DMs me all kinds of good stuff. All the tea.
Lizzie_D, y'all. LIZZZI_D.
That's right. And she said last week, trying to stick up for Eliza, people in the comments are like, why were you so mean to Kathryn then? And then she hasn't responded to that. The tea is hot. And this was based off of Cameron's post talking about Eliza and like everything that's going on with that.
Cute.
So yeah, she always chimes in and gives me the hot tea.
We love it, y'all, because we
love
try to
it.
get it all, but it's too much.
It's
so
too
we
much for us.
appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate you all chiming in as always. Let's get into this topic of Cameran, right? And how she's struggling to be a mom, and we're seeing more every single week. We're seeing this more realistic side to motherhood, and she's making it all so real. And she's like, I don't even care. Like, she'll say things, and then after she's like, that pretty much probably sounded bad, but I really don't care. What do we think about Cameran as a mom? I think she should go and try for baby number 2.
I think so too. I think she's like, if anything, I think that she'd feel less overwhelmed if she had one more, because then they'd interact with each other, the 2 children, and then that way she would kind of have, could take a step back. Obviously, it's going to take a little time for them to grow to that age to do that. But I think she's a wonderful mother. She is super overprotective, but I mean, isn't every mother? She's just handling it the best way that she can based off of, who she is, and I'm okay with that. She's being raw and real, and I don't think a lot of women would be this raw and real about how they feel about who they are as a mother. So kudos to you, Cameran.
Yeah, what do you think, Suzy?
I love how they're showing her struggle. It's her struggle is real, and she's enjoying motherhood. She says that. At the same time, she's also showing how difficult it is to raise a little baby and to be a working mom and to have the anxiety and fear and all those things, as well as just dealing with, what it's like day-to-day issues with raising a child. So I think she should write a book. Honestly, I think she should write a very real mommy book.
She said it here.
Yeah.
Right here, y'all. Cameran,
here.
listen to this right now.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We'd read it.
For sure.
Not just because we're Southern Charm fans, but because
I have to say, jumping off of that, we did have some comments last week on our last video about how being a mother can be like that. I'm sure you read those as well.
I did, yeah.
And a lot of women who chimed in on the comments said how much they related to that. So, that's, for me, I'm like, wow, that's going somewhere. That shows that you're not like some fake TV mom that can do it all. Like, we're human at the end of the day. So.
Right.
I don't think she needs to have another kid though right now.
I knew you were going to say that.
Y'all, Palmer's like a year and a half.
Perfect time.
Wait like another year. Y'all, what she needs is a freaking nanny. Just got a nanny. That's all. She said, just get a nanny. And I say that because a lot of women, and I don't have children, but I have a lot of girlfriends who are kind of around Cameron's age who are like, because, y'all, I'm the oldest one on this panel. I'm 40.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
But no, here in California, I have all my friends now that I have like 5 friends, and they all have children between the ages of 6 months and 3 years old, because that's when they're doing it. So, not doing it, but, having kids. But the whole thing is that they do feel like they have to be the only person that cares for their child.
Yeah.
And like I told one of my friends, she doesn't quote unquote have like a job that pays money. Her job is being a mom. And she said, I just feel like I have to be there all the time. And I was like, girl, still have 2 days where you have mommy's day out and you take the kid to daycare. Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Get a nest,
and so
right?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of, and she talked a lot about, especially this happens, maybe Suzy, you can speak to this. I know just my friends, happens in the South, I think it happens everywhere. Moms get shamed by other moms.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate
even having
Cameran
a
bringing
nanny.
it up.
Like,
Yeah.
I like what you said about daycare, because there is still a stigma like, oh, she can't even raise her own kids.
Yeah.
So it's different here. Actually, it's different in most places. But in the South, people are judging you if you have a nanny.
Yeah, they are. I think it is a bigger deal than it. So
Wow.
do what you need to do and F the rest.
I feel like it's like that in Hispanic culture though too. Like,
oh, really?
I mean, at least I feel like that from my mom. My mom's like, I would never let you, let anybody raise your kids, or it's just I don't know. What do you feel? You don't feel
no,
that way?
mine was different. My mom came here by herself without any family, so for her, I was forever with nannies growing up. So they'd pick me up from preschool, I'd go with the nanny, and then my mom after work she would get off, and then then my
it's
mom
a
started
privilege
her
for
business.
some people to stay home with their children.
Yeah,
it's a privilege.
but then my mom started her business, and then she kept on taking me with her. So I grew up seeing her.
Yeah,
and
but
doing
if
all
she
that.
had a choice.
I want your mom to write a book. Dang.
Oh yeah, my mom's been through the ringer.
She's a survivor.
But if she had the chance, she'd probably have her mother or some family member.
Definitely.
You
Like
know
my
what I mean?
grandma was here, she would have probably totally had that side. Everybody is different, and that's the great side that we get to see for Cameran, because it's more, we can all kind of like relate to it. I'm not a mom, but I see her and I'm just like, wow, it's, she makes it very realistic.
It does.
So in terms of that, we also get to chat a little bit and see the family relationship between Eliza, and a little bit of more backstory line into that. Now, Suzy had an opinion, and she was like, oh, I have like a different view of her. And I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? Do you want to dig deeper and
Absolutely.
say like how
I feel like Eliza showed us her personality. I read an article, and maybe I'm a little bit soft on her right now, but I read an article where she felt like she was being wrongly portrayed on the show.
I saw that, yeah.
And she feels like everyone was, like, the world was attacking her, like, down to the way she was dressed, to her extensions, everything. Like, they were attacking her. And so she wasn't used to that. Even with her little, like, cameos that she's had over the past season, she's been on the show, but not in the same way that she was on this year. And so she's just getting used to all of the attention, and a lot of the attention has been negative. So learning more about her backstory helps me to see this is who she is, this is what she's going through. And if she, oversteps her boundaries every now and then, or, wants to, be heard. She's enjoying life. Her second chance at life. It's almost like she was given a gift when she didn't get on the plane that they were supposed to be on that ended up crashing and everyone else perished.
That was scary.
Yeah, so she's given a gift of life, and sometimes if you just feel like you're in your second chance, you're in your second moment, you're like, you know what, I don't care about you guys. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna dance with my hands in the air. Yeah. You know, I'm just gonna have a good time, and that I feel like that's who she is.
I don't think she's like a bad person or anything. I just felt like she is very naive, and it bothered me that she couldn't understand or hear what everybody else was trying to say.
She's young.
She's young, totally.
Hardly
That can't be
young.
an excuse every time, though, either. You know what I mean? And I get her background and whatnot. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's a little naive, and she needs to maybe rewatch this and try to understand herself. But also, what I loved is that. What I really loved was that when she talked about the plane situation, it was sort of like, it reminded me of like the butterfly effect, you know what I mean? And so maybe, you know, she's in this weird transition. Definitely, you know, if she feels like she's being attacked, you know, that's what happens when you get on reality TV. I don't take back what I said before. I hope that she grows from this, sort of like everybody was attacking Kathryn at one point. You know, maybe she'll grow from this, and we'll learn to love her in our own ways.
Right. What do you think, Matt?
I think you said it so well. I mean, the thing. Look, I mean, I know what it's like to be. So my father did cheat on my mother, and I'm from a very small town, and so I remember people like calling my house and like telling us where my father was. He's with this person, like
juicy
stuff, kind of like though where you're all in somebody's business, and so I do relate to that. Like that really tugged at my heartstrings because I remember what it was like to like be around my father after that, who I love very much, and I'm still very close to this day. And this was 25 years ago, so it's past now, so I'm fine. But still, though, at the time, I was 17. It's really awkward.
Oh, wow.
You love your mom, you love your dad.
Yeah.
They're going through this horrible breakup that everyone is talking to you about. I couldn't go any high school event or whatever. Somebody pulls me aside, are you okay? And I'm like, just get out of my business.
Awful.
So I think Eliza's going through a lot of that because of her family, everybody's into that as well. So this, like you said, Susan, after this, I was like, okay, she's young, she's privileged, she's naive, but I want to give her a pass because we all have a place we have to start from.
My only complaint right now is, when are we going to see a little bit more of her?
Oh, now you want to see more of her?
Stay tuned for AfterBuzz News, and I'll let you know. I don't know why I'm doing my hands like that, but I am.
But I do want to see more of her because she is now part of sort of like the cast. And, you know, like, why did they bring her on? They brought her in for a reason. And I can't wait to hear that, too.
Yeah.
I just want to comment on her fishing outfit.
Okay.
I loved her fishing outfit.
Oh,
she had
cute.
her
It
fatigues
was real
on,
cute.
and her little slouchy sweater, and her boots. And I was like, oh, she's way too cute to be fishing.
It was not appropriate, but it's cute.
Yeah, it was cute. So, on top of everything, you know, after this whole situation, I was a little bit surprised that she wasn't invited into the girls' trip.
Oh, but
think about
Catherine's
that.
going. And I actually have a question about. I wasn't either because Catherine's gone, but I also wanted to ask: do you think this is going to make Eliza try harder to be friends with Kathryn from this near-death experience?
Did it happen in between this time, or did it happen before this whole dinner?
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think so. No, I don't. I think it's
Because that's why she didn't go. I think because of Kathryn. I mean, Kathryn started the trip. Why would she invite Eliza?
Right.
because Eliza's now like an official member of the show.
But Kathryn doesn't give a
Right.
That's true.
We saw that. Kathryn does not care what people think.
Not at all.
I'm sure I could see her talking to producers like, no.
No.
It's a hard no.
Hard pass.
Well, Kathryn went MIA, right?
Yeah,
And
she's
Dani
like-
has some strong words to tell her, and it felt like everything kind of boiled up, and that's why Dani reacted the way that she did. Do
Girls
we agree?
trip.
Girls trip.
Yes.
That's where we start talking about it.
I think of that trip, that movie from New Orleans with, the
Girls trip?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good movie.
Dani states, I would never do that, and says that Kathryn doesn't hold herself accountable. Suzy, do we think Kathryn holds herself accountable?
I don't think she knows how yet. She's asking for help. She said, if you guys have tips for me, give me some tips. Like, she's asking for help. She wants to be better. She's trying to be better. She's in that self-improvement mode. she's just not there yet.
Yeah.
And I feel like my opinion is when someone is trying, you don't kick them. You know what I mean? If they're trying, and then if you're kicking them while they're trying, then they'll say,
Preach,
forget
girl.
it. Why should I bother now?
Yeah.
Preach.
Matt, what do you think about Joe? Do you think Joe is so far how they're painting him out, since you're a therapist as well on the sidelines?
He's thinking.
Do you think he's more like, I don't know, a Thomas 2.0 or...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I think this is kind of, what, because they were having this dinner, and I'm like, okay, is somebody, I don't know, they're talking about Joe, and it was rubbing me the wrong way that all of them have talked shit about Joe in their confessionals or to one another.
Yes.
But yet they're sitting here just listening to Kathryn talk about how great he is eating
Preach.
her food. And
I'm
I'm
so
like,
glad you brought that up.
And I was getting a little bit like,
Yeah.
hypocrites.
Yes.
Like, stop. And so I thank God that Dani started to talk about this. However, I think they were trying to be, I think they're all a little scared of Kathryn because they've seen Kathryn go off. And, we saw on a trip what she yelled at with Whitney and stuff like that. And so I think they're tentative and they know that Kathryn can be delicate, like her mental state can be delicate, and they don't want to quote unquote trigger that. But I felt like they were talking about Kathryn's behavior and they also were talking around, like I wish Dani would have said, instead of talking about Kathryn's behavior, just said, hey, I'm your friend, I care for you. Is this Joe guy a Thomas 2.0? Because that's what it seems like and feels like, and I'm concerned that you're repeating a pattern. I think she would have taken that a lot better than, Kathryn, you don't show up on time, you don't do this.
So you think it was more like of an attack? Like they were, I felt like that's how it was being portrayed.
I agree. I feel like it was an attack. And here's my opinion. If you're Dani, and we love Dani, if you're Dani and that's your friend, you're supposed to do it when it's one-on-one, the two of you. When you not on the girls' trip, or if you do it on the girls' trip, not at dinner. You take them aside. You don't do it in that format.
Agree, but that's probably not good TV.
No.
But agree.
It's not good TV. However, Kathryn was absolutely being attacked.
It felt like an intervention.
And then
It did.
even at the point where Kathryn was like, okay, I agree with you, she kept going.
Yeah, I think they
What does she want from her at that point? I'm sorry.
Sorry, you weren't finished.
Yeah, so what does she want from her at that point? She already agreed with her.
Yeah.
I just feel like, they keep saying like, oh, well, she's not being held accountable. She's not being held accountable. She's not being held accountable. Well, you guys are letting her slide how many times? So what are you doing? You're enabling. So you can say,
Cameran didn't call her out.
No.
Cameran talks about in the confessional that she needs to put her big girl panties on, but Cameron's just sitting there, just smiling.
They're the ones that are sort of responsible in this, and her behavior as well, because they've allowed it to happen again and again and again, and babying her and babying her and babying her. Well, of course, now she thinks like she has a past because they keep doing that and they keep allowing things to slide. Not only that, but I felt like she was trying to speak her piece, and Dani kept interrupting. Now we love Dani. I know she comes from a great place. She's a good friend. Yeah. But at what point, is she allowed to say how she feels? And at what point is, I don't know. I didn't like how Naomi asked her about her car situation. Like, it's her money. I totally 110% agree with that whole situation with how Kat responded to that. I'm not happy with the way that whole thing went down.
It looked like it was just a whole different topics just blaring at Kathryn.
I think they weren't talking about the issue.
And they weren't talking, they weren't getting straight to the core about what the issue was.
With Joe.
They brought up Joe, and they're like, you've changed because of Joe. And it's like, what does Joe have to do with this? And then they wouldn't say how he's like Thomas 2.0. And then Naomi's saying, well, it was foolish for you to buy that car. It's like, who are you to be managing somebody else's finances when nobody questions you about your finances?
Exactly. And it's the buildup. It's like, okay, so they had an issue with Joe. They had these are all separate issues. They had an issue with Joe. They had an issue with her not picking up the phone. They had an issue, and they were so like letting everything pass by, right? They were just being passive aggressive about everything, and then they boiled over, and now they're gonna dump everything on her all at once. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's what makes a true friend. A true friend is saying, look, I feel this way. I'm hurt. And this is why I'm hurt, and then let them talk.
Yeah, right. You're
well,
very pensive over there,
I think they were being true friends, and I will. I just think the intention was there. The execution was not
That's
correct.
what I meant. Yes, 100%.
But I do have to give it to Naomi and Dani in that they said something.
Yes,
and I'm going to throw a
agreed.
little shade on Chelsea and Cameron because they both are thinking it and they're stinking in it. They're not saying a word about it. And one more thing is that I think that we're wondering like, why is she paying for this car? It's a different thing when you're in. It's not right, but it's a different thing when you're a woman in the South. And what Naomi, I think, was trying to bring up is you were trying to rebuild your life from being Thomas Ravenel's crazy, drugged up, drunk wife.
Yeah.
Their perception of what you are seen as in the community directly affects your station and how you live in Charleston. And I think that's what she was trying to say with the car thing.
Yeah.
But she went at it totally wrong.
100%. I agree.
Final thought,
So much
just to cover,
tea.
just to round up everything. Before this whole conversation took place, we also got to know a little bit about Whitney's sex life with Kathryn. I love how the girls just went in and were like, "Does he make any noises? Like,
Did he keep his clothes
Does
on?
he keep his clothes on? Well, he kept his glasses on. Like a mental image came into my head
Same.
of Whitney. You
Who
know,
has sex with their glasses on?
Do you feel like those questions were appropriate though? I mean, I know girls talk. We talk about everything, and you ask crazy questions to your girlfriends.
Yeah.
But I don't think that those questions were appropriate. I know it was
I feel like when
TV.
it's good,
Y'all.
it's good, you're like, let me tell you, and then you kind of spill it off.
Girls
you
are
know?
way dirtier than men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And even gay men, y'all. So I feel like that conversation was so tame than what I've heard my girlfriends say. I have blushed.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
our person in the chat, I have blushed.
The thing is, Suzy, you got so much class, girl. You know, that's what it is.
You too classy, Suzy.
Yeah,
I
girl.
can't imagine like saying, "Did he take all of his clothes off?" Like,
I've said so much worse.
You know what though? Last season we actually had this conversation about like Whitney having sex and all that before we knew Patricia would watch her show. And the comment I remember, Matt, that you made was like, maybe he's just like a little lazy, or maybe I don't know. Like we were just making ourselves making that comment. So it's so funny that they bring it up again.
And then
you
she
know?
did say it was like a one-time.
Psychic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're like, did you go
Psychic.
multiple times? Nope, just once. All right, you guys. So we're going to switch this off to Cristal for our special segment tonight.
Yes, you guys. We have our special segment, and you know what that means? It's not so
girl.
charming moment. Yes. I love that. That is Matt, by the way. That's him being recorded over that voiceover. So in this segment, what we're going to do is what we do every week is we talk about a moment within the show that you thought was not so charming. Why don't you take it away, Matt?
Oh, good. I have one. My not so charming is, I mean, you kind of hinted to this earlier, but my not so charming is when someone invites you on your trip and it's their idea for a trip, you don't talk to them about all the shady stuff they've been doing. So they totally talk to
True.
Kathryn about all this, but not on a trip that she invited you. # not Southern.
I got to give you a high five for that one. I agree with
Yeah.
that. What about you, Suzy Q?
I'm just gonna go with the simple Kathryn vaping in her interview. What was that?
Can't take the trash out of the girl.
And she bent over and it was like tatas galore. Oh my
That
gosh.
catsuit outfit of hers. I love it. Matt, it really. I think we should just not say her not so charming. Suzy just took it away.
What is it? That Looney Tunes character, Foghorn Leghorn?
Foghorn
That's
Leghorn,
you?
yeah. Look out here.
What about you,
Oh my
Mayte?
god. My not so charming was definitely, I think, Austen and his whole conversation, what he thinks about Chelsea, that whole situation, how she's fake on Instagram and talks crap about her. Yeah.
Bad. Okay.
What about yours?
Mine is when Naomi said, people take alcohol in their butt and it's called
Oh, yeah.
butt chugging. You guys, I was like, really? Your
You've
parents
never
are gonna-
done that?
I'm just kidding. That was me in the video, girl.
Oh, Lord.
I'm totally
Jesus.
joking.
Love
You
Whitney.
cannot unseen that, people. That was me.
That's
All right, now we're gonna switch over to Suzy for our other segment.
So we have been doing the top 3, and this episode, our top 3 is going to be the top 3 reactions to
Ooh.
muscadine wine.
Muscadine wine. Okay, so I asked because I had a friend who's Southern text me in the show, but you're the only one on this panel. You've had muscadine wine.
I have had muscadine wine. they sell it as both Virginia wine and North Carolina wine, and of course South Carolina wine. From the vineyards, the only grapes they grow there are these thick grapes that are like this big, called muscadine grapes. The skin on it is really thick. The inside of the grape is kind of slimy. If you have the skin of the grape touch your lips, it'll itch.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, but they make wine out of it. And the wine tastes the same. It doesn't matter if they say, we're calling this one Pinot, or we're calling this one Chardonnay, whatever they're making up a name for. Yeah. It's very, very, very sweet, sweeter than dessert wine. Oh. And that's coming from someone who likes a Chardonnay, who likes a, Sauvignon Blanc. Me too. So it's super duper duper sweet.
So it's not good.
All right,
it's like tradition. It's kind of like pimento cheese. It's tradition. You kind of eat it and you're like, oh, it's good. And you're like, is it really? Is it really?
So let's share three.
My one topic was go ahead.
Okay, so they Chelsea asking if they had anything else at a vineyard that sells muscadine wine. She's asking if they had anything else.
She's like, do you have Pinot Noir?
And then of course, Naomi making the face. And then
she made a stank face.
She really did. And then even when they gave Kathryn the muscadine juice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
She did the little bitter mouth taste.
That's funny.
So.
Well, we have to say that I was writing notes, but Cristal sitting across from Susan, we were watching, and she said one of her top 3 was actually your reaction as soon as I said muscadine wine. Because y'all, Susan was just laughing and laughing.
Because I know exactly what it tastes like, and it's just remembering how sweet it is, and if they don't do it exactly right, it's horrific.
Ugh.
Jesus. Maybe we should try some. All right,
All
take it away, Matt.
Let's go some AfterBuzz news and gossip.
I like that.
Okay, y'all. So, to talk about some Eliza tea that we talked about earlier, this is some news from, I'm reading off my phone, I apologize because I want to say it right, y'all, from Decider.com. So, we're going to see a little bit more of Eliza's boyfriend. His name is Don. Anyway, and so she talked about, so apparently there's a ski trip. He's going to be more in that. And he's going to also, his name is Don Copadano. Yeah, I know. My name is Don Copadano. Okay. I don't know. I was just in Vegas, so I feel mobby. But anyway, he was a contestant on season 4 of The Bachelorette.
Oh, wow.
For Deanna Papa's season. He was a contestant there. So he's Don from that. But Eliza told Decider that when it comes to his appearance on the show, she said, quote, I called him my service animal on the show because they were all a lot nicer to me around him. Yes, apparently all the cast. He and Kathryn loved each other. He loves her style. They just get each other. They just click. And then she says, he went to everything with me. The cast loved him because most of them already knew him. But he ended up cheating on me and we're no longer. So, bye.
Do you have any other news?
Yes,
He
we do.
certainly
Two more
is a
things.
service dog then.
So, we had some comments last week, and I usually rewatch this episode, and we had some comments last week about Cameron's comment about Matul. Really rubbed some people the wrong way, and some people thought it was a racist comment when she called him exotic. And it didn't hit me the first time during the show, but when I watched it again, I was like, it made me cringe, and it was a little uncomfortable. However, Naomi responded to this, and she said, she thought it was inappropriate. To People Magazine, she said, not at all, and he didn't either. Since when is that an insult? Cameron loves Matul, and he loves her back. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill.
Yes.
One more, but it's still kind of like, from Entertainment Tonight, they talk about that Cameron reveals that her husband is finally going to be on the show. Yes, I say the best for last. I know. So yes, she said he's a super fan of shows. He does love it. He loves Southern Charm. It's a big misconception that he doesn't. He just hasn't been wanting to be on TV, but that she has coaxed him to be on the show, and so we will be seeing him down the road this season.
We cannot wait. That should be very interesting. interesting.
Should be good.
Thank you so much, Suzy, for sharing that, and also Matt as well, and Cristal too. That is it. We are out of time already. It went by super quickly. Before we say goodbye, Matt, do you want to let everybody know where everyone can find you?
Sure, everybody. You can find me either on social media at the Matt Mar, 2 T's, 2 R's. You can also list. I'll post about it. If you want to go into more Southern Charm, my friend Jake and I have Sweet Tea, the unauthorized Southern Charm podcast, which is a lot bluer than I don't know if Susan could listen to it.
I'm Crystal McLaughlin. You can find me on Cristal823 with an I, not with a Y. And I cannot wait till next week's episode since, Liza's probably going to show up. Go ahead, Suzy.
I am Susan Pinkney. You can reach me at SUZQ90210, Twitter and Instagram.
Hey guys, I'm Mayte Creo. You can find me everywhere at This Is Mayte. That is at This Is Mayte. We love you guys tuning in. We thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.